The best of the Bill and Corey Show.
Is it possible to get a DISS disc 724 on the 2210 series mini dual stage regulator? Okay, that's a good question. So this is let's start out with the disc 724. That's an ultra high integrity. It's a semiconductor grade for flammable gases cylinder connection, and so that's used at very high purity gases. And this is our 2210 series. This is the body is plated brass bar stock. It's got brass, chrome plated brass gauges. It has it's a two-stage regulator. The first stage has a piston, brass piston in there. Second stage is algiloid diaphragm. It's got Teflon seats and Viton seals. So it's not up to that high purity grade. This shows with a CJ 170 on it. These are mini regs. They're a lot smaller than the other regs we have. That's kind of when you might have a yard of cylinders and you run to analytical instruments and you don't really have the room for that kind of a regular dual stage regulator. So you want something that kind of fits in the space you have, and you really don't need the flow rate for it. These big regulators will get you a higher flow rate, a few CFMs. This one doesn't. You've got, if you want 100 psi delivery pressure, we can deliver 10 liters a minute of nitrogen, so that's kind of low. That's less than a cubic foot. It's like half, less than half. If you go with a 50 psi delivery pressure range, you're only going to get 5 liters a minute. Actually, you want to zoom in on this? So yeah, this is the dual stage mini reg. It's kind of neat. It's all shiny. Yeah. You can zoom back out. And if you go with the down to 10 psi delivery, you're only going to get 300 ccms. So it's really just for analytical purposes.
What are those little? I noticed the little ties on.
Oh, the little ties.
On some of these.
That's a good question. Yeah, we have the ties because that holds. You want to zoom in? That holds a little washer there. Oh. That washer is for the CJ 170 fitting, and that's a flat face fitting. There's different kinds of fittings for cylinders. Some of them are flat face, and the flat face ones need a washer, and that's your sealing surface.
I got you. Okay.
Regulators. There's other, like this CGA, it's 580. The sealing surface is the cone bullet nose nipple. Okay. So that's what you use for that. And yeah, we'll have a little gasket with a wire tie, bread tie, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Plastic tie. And then like here, this is our CGA 724. It's really, people call it disc. CGA stopped using disc, but everybody calls it that. So these have a metal gasket. You want to zoom in? There we go. It's got a little metal gasket. It's in plastic to keep junk off of it. So that's put in this little recess there. And this, it's so shiny, it's hard to see on a close-up. But this is for diameter index safety standard. So it has different diameters. You see this is the inner diameter right there. And then you get a larger diameter. So that will fit in the valve. And if it doesn't fit in the valve, that's not the right one. So people figuring this stuff out decided to come up with that solution, and they want to have a metal gasket, much like a VCR connection. It's really this is super machining on here, very fine surface. So you can use it seems odd using a metal gasket. It's like used to stuff that can crush, but these can crush. So you use the metal gasket in there, and it's really a one-use gasket. So when you change the cylinder, you got to get another gasket. So yeah, and it's kind of interesting because they have these little, zoom in again, I don't know if you can see the little notches on here. There's a notch at the 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock position
yeah,
on there. That's so it keys into the cylinder. It got a key into the cylinder that way. Yeah, so when you put them on regular fittings, you just screw them in, put them on the regulator. But here, you want to have it oriented. So you got 12 o'clock and 6. So if you had the little nibs on the side, then when you put it on a cylinder, it would be pointing up or pointing whatever it is. So we like to keep it right there.
Right.
Problem is, if some customers would rather have it bent up or bent down, you're kind of out of luck with these. But
Right.
that's life. That is that. So we'll get into more questions. We, that's the customer, have a 4-cylinder Series 53 brass manifold system, and 2 of the station valves have ceased operation. I still got more to go, so. And I was wondering what would cause that. They're connected to compressed air cylinders, and only 1 cylinder is ever open on the line for a maximum pressure of 2,500 psi-ish. The first station valve completely seized about 4 months ago. We replaced that valve, and immediately, as in the day we replaced it, the 4th station valve on the opposite end completely seized. I wanted to ask if there was some special consideration I needed to be aware of before changing out valves.
As you can see, we don't have a manifold, but
We do have a manifold, we just didn't bring it. We just
have
wanted
part
to bring
of
the
it.
valve, because it's the valve that's
it's the
important,
valve that's a
not
problem. And as you can see, for the brass one, you can easily change it out if it does become seized. The stainless steel
half-inch pipe thread.
half-inch pipe thread, and
Or
this
pipe
is
tape,
CGA 346.
Yep. That's
The stainless steel manifold, unfortunately, we back weld them, but we do have repair kits, like you said, so if something were to happen. But to the foul seizure, so as you can see, this one, you open, closed, open. And then if you think it's not open and you think it's closed, you come by the manifold and be like, oh, I got to make sure, something's not going right.
So what you're saying is when you open the valve.
Oh, I'll get to that part.
Oh,
I'll get to that part.
Sorry.
Hold on.
Okay.
And so some people might come by and not think it's closed or open, and they're like, oh, and you can see, and then you can't feel what I'm feeling, but it's sticky. It's sticky right there at the end.
And then you go, hey, it's not open. I got to do more.
I got to do more, and then people crank down on it, and then it'll seize right here. As you can feel it just with no pressure on it. I can feel that the valve is already sticking. So when you open it, after you open it, you got to back it off a little bit. And it will prevent it from seizing.
Right. So you're saying when you, so you get the valve, and let's pretend it's closed.
Right.
And then when you open it, and then it's all the way, and then you
open it up,
back it off just a little bit. That's so when the next person comes in and they go, oh, it's closed, I need to open it.
Yeah, that helps too.
Then they'll turn it and they'll go, oh, wait a minute, it's already open.
Instead of thinking that it's stuck, instead of not realizing it is open, thinking it's stuck open, and then you're really wrenching down on the valve and cause even more damage, trying to open an already open valve. So that, it's depending on our applications, though, we do have valves that clearly show you when it's open and closed. These are not one of them, unfortunately.
Quarter turn valves, but you could still kind of jam it if you're not sure what.
Yeah.
Still.
I mean, you could put a marking on it too, maybe, or so. I don't know.
But that's different as a stop.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's open, so you're not gonna jam. Yeah, you're not gonna jam it open on a quarter turn valve. But this is a station valve, so it's not gonna. We don't have these quarter turn. Yeah, so that's important. And also when you're
all valves, and not just these ones. I want to add all valves. Our diaphragm valves on off our regulators do the same thing. We have problems with those as well. There we go. Yes.
Yeah. These are probably one of our most common valves.
Yes.
It will seize.
We've
had people seize them up.
Yeah.
And bust the handle and everything.
Yeah, valves at home, back off a little bit. All valves back off a little bit. Don't leave them wide open.
Unopened, not when you're closed.
Not when you're closed. Yeah, don't back them off when you're closing. You can crank down.
Oh, it's closed, and just open it a little bit.
Good point.
No, you have to be. And when you operate valves, you want to do it slowly. You don't want to be you don't want to, especially with high pressure gas. You don't want to open it fast.
Feels so good when you turn it and you can feel it go through the valve. It's
if you try to open it quickly, you're going to get a big surge of gas.
Yeah,
The first question, is it possible to do the request below for the 3494 regulator? That's that one right there. Yep. They want an inlet outlet 1/4 inch male VCR, also, is it possible to move the gauge to the 9 o'clock port and use that port as the outlet? So inlet at 3, outlet at 12, gauge at 9, and weather at 6. So this is a 3494. It's an absolute pressure line regulator. Maximum inlet pressure is 400 psi. Data right on the back. And it's good for if you need to regulate pressure in the vacuum range. It's also good for low pressures, 0 to 10 psi. It's got a large diaphragm in there. So it gives you good...
and it's metal still, right?
It's metal. Yeah, it's metal.
Well, usually sometimes when they get big diaphragms, they go to neoprene or something.
Yeah, they
like
do.
that sometimes.
Yeah, but they have a stainless steel diaphragm in here, so it gives you a little bit better pressure control. So they want to have something like this, but different. And we got the order for this today, so we could like build it and just ship it.
I mean, as long as the high-low ports work for you, you can almost do any. You can have the high, it come out any direction you want.
Actually, this one's not stamped for the gauges and stuff. It says in, out, so in would be the high pressure. Usually regulators have it. You can't, you know what? Our zoom-in camera is on vacation again. It's racking up the frequent fire miles.
Goes on vacation more often than I do.
I tell you, I'll be flying first class to Europe pretty soon. Yeah, most regulators have the L's and H's on the ports that tell you what's high and low pressure. This has an in and out in the gauge. It figures, 3 ports.
You'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out. So I'm taking, I said assemble it very loosely. So let's see. So what do they want here? They want the gauge in the 9 o'clock port. So, that's the out. So it'd be here. What am I looking at it backwards? So they want the gauge here.
And it's important to note that this would be a delivery gauge, not an inlet gauge.
Yeah, that's a delivery pressure gauge. So it's got to be in the low pressure port, the out port. So they want, these are VCR fittings, so they want the outlet in the 12 o'clock port and the inlet at 3 o'clock.
Look at that. Now the only downside of this, you have to go like this to read the gauge.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. But they do the numbers around there, so you can kind of...
Or...
You can read the 20 PSI there.
Or they're just going to put the gauge up.
You don't know. It could
inlet,
be.
not let, have the inlet. Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, it could be upside down. We don't know. It could be backwards. I don't know. But yes, you can do that. We do. Oh, actually, we're doing this one today. So just take it back and ship it. No, we won't. We'll get someone who really knows what they're doing.
They'll just made it for you.
We just made it for you. This is what it looks like.
You should sign it before you send it to them.
Okay.
From the Bill and Corey show? No.
Yeah, I think we're going to, as seen on the Bill and Corey show. Yeah, so we're going to get real technicians in there.
Professionals.
Not people who play them on TV. And tighten them in there, and we do a leak check on it. And, they even clean up the little Teflon tape on there. So it's really, it's going to look really sweet going out. So, yes, we can do modified regulators, and you can put low pressure stuff in low pressure points, high pressure stuff in high pressure points.
Especially when you get to like 6 ports, 3 highs, 3 lows, you can really, in our dual stage.
Well, dual stage, one's an interstage.
Oh, yeah, one is interstage, yeah, you're right.
So there's a lot of options there.
Single stage, yeah.